lot of trouble visualizing things. Like whenever I try and diagram, I don't think I'm doing it effectively. And whenever I try and do like the rules, I'll like do a rule. And then when I look back at it, I'm like, wait, I misunderstood the rule. And then I have to like redo it and that kills my time. So
Right.
I think once I have like a better understanding of that, then I'm like better in terms of logic games. For logical reasoning, I kind of rush through it when I shouldn't be. Like once I actually like look at it, then I usually get them mostly right. And then reading
Hmm.
comprehension, my only issue is timing. I take too long, and when I just kind of rush through, I usually still get like about 18 right. And the last passage just kind of gets sacrificed for getting everything else right.
Gotcha. Okay, so it sounds like there's some work to be done in all areas, really,
Yeah,
which is
my
good
best is
news.
reading comp, but I'd rather like focus on the other two more and then pick up on reading comp.
Right, right. Okay, well, let's see. If you're looking for a 5 to 8 point improvement, if that improvement could be somewhat evenly distributed across the three sections, that makes it pretty achievable. Like you don't need to get it all in one area.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah,
And you said when your application to me, you said that you're able to study pretty much full time, right?
yeah. Basically, all I do really is I pick up my brother from school and I take him to school, and then I just sit in my dad's office and I just do the videos and I do the practices, and I look at my own resume to try and figure out what my personal statement topics are. So like the first half of my day is usually just doing LSAT videos practices. I have lunch, and then I do like maybe a few more LSAT stuff before I pick up my brother. I pick up my brother, then I start brainstorming and trying to like write stuff for personal statements. And then after like dinner, I've already helped my brother with homework. I try and do at least another 2 hours of LSAT. So that's generally how my day goes.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome. I mean, really, the people who improve the most are the ones who are able to put in the time. You've got the resources, you've got the time, you've put in a lot already. You can really make anything happen over this next month. And so I think 5 to 8 points is perfectly reasonable. Have you attended the live classes as well?
I haven't had the chance to. Whenever I registered for it, but then whenever it came the time, I had to feed my brother or I had to help him with his homework. So I like wasn't able to actually join the class.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Well, regardless, they're all recorded. You can watch the videos on your own time whenever you can. And if you choose to work together for the one on one, then you'll have that as well. And we can schedule our times together whenever you're available.
Mm-hmm.
So let me know a little bit about what you're looking to get out of LSAT coaching specifically and how I could help.
Specifically, I really just need like direction because I kind of still feel like I'm kind of going in blind, even though I know there's a lot of resources that I can like go to and there's like different schedules. I kind of have tried so many different options. I feel overwhelmed and I don't feel like I have direction, even though the resources are there. So
Mm-hmm.
if I have more direction and ability to kind of maintain the timing consistency, then I think that's would help me the most from coaching and getting some that kind of help.
Okay, sure. So what would you say is your default approach? Let's say that we weren't meeting today, or let's say what did you do yesterday without
Like,
guidance in terms of studying? Like, how did you spend your LSAT prep time?
well, I've been doing the month plan. I'm on week 2, I believe the second day. And yesterday was a bit of an anomaly because I've been doing remote work on the side and my boss told me to come in. So I had a reduced amount of LSAT yesterday, but usually what I do is I go to that schedule and then I kind of just keep doing those and kind of branching out and watching workshops. So that's usually what I end up doing. Like the last one was just, I think, logical reasoning because it's the week 2. But yeah.
Okay, so you end up watching workshops.
I've been trying to watch them as I'm doing the actual like plan because I haven't been really benefiting from just doing only what the plan says. So I've tried to like branch out and watch the workshops like either after or before I start something so I can have that kind of foundation of, oh, this is how you're thinking about it or how I should kind of look for things when I'm doing them.
Nice.
I'm
Okay,
not sure if
good.
that's the best way to do it or not, but that's what I've been trying to do.
That is good. So you're using the resources, you're putting in the time. Yes, I do recommend going through the day by day plan in the foundational section of the course and then reviewing the workshops associated with a given section or question type. So let's say you watched the day by day plan area on grouping logic games. You can then watch the workshops on grouping logic games. Or if you're into the logical reasoning portion, there are plenty of logical reasoning workshops on any given question STEM type. But what most students don't end up doing is going that extra step of then drilling LSAT questions of that type and then reviewing using the Socratic review method that I lay out in the workshops. Have you tried doing anything like that?
I've done the Socratic method for the logic games a lot. Every time I like do a game, I look back and I look at my questions like, oh, why'd I get this wrong or why'd I get this right? And for a lot of the time, I can figure out why something was wrong, but sometimes I just can't figure out why it was wrong and why I like couldn't connect which was the right answer. But for every single logic game that I've done, I've always gone back and said, oh, wait, why is this right? Or what am I doing wrong that made me get this wrong? And for logical reasoning, I'm still very new in that section, but I have tried to look back and be like, okay, so what's the kind of explanation for this? Or like, what am I missing here? Because before I was doing this, I was doing Khan Academy and they did have explanations and I'd read through those. But I really don't like Khan Academy's setup. So I like how this course is set up, but I'm just trying to think through, okay, what's going on here? What's right? What's wrong? But I'm still very new in terms of logical reasoning, so I don't have that much of a foundation doing that yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, a couple things come to mind here. One is that if there's a situation where you're not able to figure out the question, that's the perfect thing to bring to the one-on-one coaching because we can discuss it together and stick with it until we get to the point where you can explain it to me. So we don't let go of the question. We don't just move on. We make sure that you understand it. Secondly, you were saying that logical reasoning is certain aspects of it are somewhat new to you, right?
Yeah.
And your exam's a month away. So we don't want it to feel new. We want it to feel like you know it inside out. So if that's how you're feeling now, it's okay. You're able to study somewhat full time, given few obligations. Mainly, it sounds like it's your brother and a bit of remote work, but otherwise it's the LSAT. So we've got about 1 month between now and test day. There's a lot we can do in that time together, but we definitely don't want it to feel new for too much longer. So I would suggest a big focus on logical reasoning over the next month, reviewing in depth. Any questions that give you trouble that you can't resolve, you bring them to me, we discuss them together. And we help you implement the Socratic review method fully, as I do in the workshops, where you're actually articulating your review process, writing it out, talking it out, analyzing every element of the question in depth, the stimulus, the question stem, and the answer choices.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think my biggest issue was I have familiarity with almost all of them. The one that I'm like having issues with is like the parallel reasoning or the sufficient assumptions, because sufficient and necessary was a concept I was struggling for a very long time with, and I'm still a bit shaky on it, even though it's like a very core element of like LSAT. So I'm a bit concerned about that, but hopefully I'll be able to just understand it in a way where it just sinks, because I have been trying to for a while.
Yeah. We want it to sink in fully and beyond just familiarity. I mean, how about expertise, right? I mean, 5 to 8 points is perfectly reasonable, but we don't want just 5 to 8 points. We want to allow a buffer as well. So let's say you increase at least 10 points over the next month. Then even if you experience that test day drop that some students do, where you score a few points below your average, you'd still be well within the desired increase that you're looking for. So I always like to shoot a bit high.
Yeah, that'd be great if I could. The higher it is, the more comfortable I'd be, and the potential of the scholarship, which would be very, very helpful.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what a lot of students are looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really just need to get the LSAT done. The personal statements, I kind of have a resource with my dad to do since he is a lawyer, so he can help me with that. But I think my main issue is just topics. And I've just been going through the admissions course section to try and figure out, okay, what can I talk about and how can I talk about it? But
Perfect.
already really is the LSAT. And I know you've talked about this before, but in terms of timing for these sections, I believe your philosophy is just you need to have familiarity with it and practice with it. So as I'm going, I would like, how would I be timing myself? Is all of this work timed, or would that only happen like the last 2 weeks? Like, what should I be expecting in terms of timing myself?
With 1 month remaining, I would suggest that pretty much everything you do be timed.
Okay.
Timing is a big part of this exam. You know, if you had a longer timeline, I might suggest that you do the earlier part of your prep untimed and the later portion timed. But timing is such a big part of this exam, and you have only 1 month remaining. I'd suggest that you really focus on the pacing and endurance elements as well, because they're a big adjustment. A lot of times people will say, I have great accuracy untimed, but then when I transition to timed work, things fall apart. And with 3 months or 6 months, you can focus on accuracy specifically and later add in the timed work. But with 4 weeks remaining, I'd say let's make everything timed. And then you can review it later and take as much time as you need to review it. But I want you to get the experience of doing timed work. It's so important. It makes such a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done the timed work in my previous when I was trying to study for November. What tended to happen to me was I'd either like feel lethargic right off the gate in the first section and then build up at the end, or I would get lethargic at the third section and then pick back up on the fourth. So first and second would be fine. I'd have the break. Third, I'd be down for some reason, and then fourth, I'd be back up. So it's very weird in terms of that, in terms of like my momentum of doing the test sections.
Understood. Yeah. I mean, those lulls can happen, but every point matters so much, and you don't know which section is going to be the unscored experimental. So I'd say we want you to be able to maintain a strong pace throughout where you don't lag anywhere.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to get a sense of like how I should be navigating this course. And I think you already said it, but I want to reiterate. So I should be going by the day, whatever they said, whatever you wrote down, do that, and then use the workshop as a review after, not do it before I do the day.
Exactly. So I'd use the foundational section to review the fundamentals, mm-hmm. and then go to the workshops for a deeper dive into the nitty gritty of a particular section or question type.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that because I wasn't sure exactly which way I should be doing.
Yeah, I'd start with the foundational and then go to the workshops.
When would I expect to do practice tests? Because I know that's like jumping very ahead, but I think that is something that I should be trying to do eventually, especially as it gets closer to the test. When would practice tests fit into it?
Yeah, sure. I typically recommend doing in the final month of prep. I suggest doing practice tests on average at least once or twice a week. Since you're studying closer to full-time, I'd suggest probably twice a week, along with detailed review of those practice tests.
Mm-hmm. So I should have one like this week, like today and tomorrow, basically, to fit the 2-week thing.
Well, no, I wouldn't do them on consecutive days, though. That can lead to burnout. So I would space them out roughly evenly. Okay.
And I've heard this option before where you take a test, you don't review it, and you review it the next day. Would you recommend doing that, or would you recommend reviewing it after you do it?
That's a good question. I'll ask you, what do you think is more impactful? Same day or the following day, or does it even matter?
I think as long as I'd have some sort of space in between, whether that's a few hours or the next day, would be helpful, because by the end of the test, I'm kind of just hazed. So I wouldn't fully benefit in the way that I would like doing it directly after.
Exactly. You got it. So yeah, you got it. So there's a lot of different things that people talk about on forums and stuff. And I want to help you stay focused on what really matters. So as you got it, same day, following day, as long as you've got that method of reasoning in your head, you can remember your thought process from when you were doing it, it's all good.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you so much for meeting with me and for telling me a bit about it. I'll let you know what I end up deciding and what I can end up doing.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.